What's up, guys? Tyler here, Gamin Hard, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, everybody. This is going to be a pretty long video. We are going to pick up a ton of stuff, and what we're going to do in this video is we're going to head on into the Painted World, and what a perfect thing to do on Christmas Day. Well, actually, I'll be uploading this video the day after Christmas, but you know, it's all within the holiday time frame. It's all good. So this is going to be a pretty long video, guys. So just prepare for that. As I said, we're going to pick up a ton of stuff, and I have all of the item descriptions here ready to go. So without further ado, let's get into this stuff. Already slaughtered a bell gargoyle before I could even finish my introduction. Look at that. So we're here in Anne Orlando, and the first thing that we need to get done is we need to get this corkscrew elevator moved up to where we can use it, basically. You see a lot of messages here that say try jumping. I wouldn't suggest that. Maybe you can do it, I don't know. I seriously doubt it, though. So we're going to pop down here and pick up our first item of the day, which is going to be this Demon Titanite. I also have the description right here. Let's give the chest a whack and make sure it's not going to eat us. Okay, so I didn't read the Demon Titanite description in full last time I showed it, but in the last video I said I would have the description ready to go this time, so here is the description. Demon Titanite, special Titanite stolen from a faceless stone beast known as a Titanite demon. When the nameless blacksmith deity passed, from several slabs, great beasts arose. The power of the Titanite remains within them, and they still roam Lordran today. Somewhat interesting stuff there. I've always thought that the references to the nameless blacksmith deity were interesting. I even played with the idea in my mind of the nameless blacksmith deity being Andre of Astora, but I don't think so. But I've played with that idea before. Which it says the nameless blacksmith deity actually died. Why he's nameless, I don't know. I don't know if his name's just lost to time or what the deal is. So anyway, enough of that. On across the rafters here, got these painting guardians chucking throwing knives at us here. It's good to have some kind of spell for this area. I'm going to utilize Fireball, even though that Fireball isn't an incredibly strong pyromancy. It's still pretty useful here. Most of these guys will either try to dodge it and wind up falling to their deaths, as that one just did, or you might wind up hitting them with it, and it'll at least do some significant damage. Bam! got to be careful here. Damn it. Shit. Fell short a bit there. Oh my god, I cannot believe that I survived that. I mean, my health was gone. I don't know how my character is still standing. There's Guinevere. And, good view from up here. Alright, let's get moving on. There's actually a chest over on that other side there. Actually can't remember what's in it. I'm not going to worry about getting it here. There's another painting guardian down here. Just get his ass smacked to the ground. Gosh, I can't remember how to get over there. You might drop down right here. Ah, screw it. I'm not gonna mess with all that stuff right now. But pretty cool stuff to lay out of this room. You can see the chest over there. But let's get back to the task at hand. Yeah, I think I screwed up. Yeah, I screwed up. I need to actually move this down first. Yep. Yep. It's a dead end. Yeah, if you come down here, certain parts of this will just go to a straight drop-off if the elevator's not in the right place. And you can actually hear the bell gargoyle growling, or screeching, or whatever that sound may be, however you want to describe it. So we'll actually move this sucker down. There we go. Now, this has completed the path across, so we could actually head on across at this point and finish up with the rest of Orlando and go after Smo and Ornstein and get the Lord Vessel and all of that stuff. But we're not going to do that just yet. That is going to be the next video, guys. Friggin' bell gargoyles, man. Bam! Ooh, that did some damage. Bam! Bam! He's out of there, man. We got a lot of stuff there. Gargoyle's halberd, gargoyle helm, gargoyle shield. None of it is really too much worth using, though. I mean, I've never used the gargoyle's halberd or the gargoyle tail axe. Of course, it's steel tail of the gargoyle guarding the undead church, and the halberd description is basically the same, if I remember correctly. Yeah, guarding the Bell of Awakening in the undead church. Yeah, so not much to that stuff. Not very important. And of course he's not guarding the Bell of Awakening here. That's early in the game when they're actually bosses. Whenever you go to ring the first bell. Now, I don't know what they're doing here. I don't know if they were put here just to say that this is where the bell gargoyles came from. They originally came from Anor Londo, or they were put there by Gwendolyn. I don't know. Maybe they're just another obstacle for you to get through, and there's not really meant for you to read anything into it. But I like to think that most things are placed somewhere for a reason in this game, including enemies. Just like the Capra demons and the Taurus demons down in Lost Izalith, it's basically to show that these demons did indeed come from Izalith because they come from the Bed of Chaos, which is the source of all demons. Excuse me. So, picked up the Great Magic Weapon Sorcery just there, which actually fell down with that chandelier. Normally you have to knock down that chandelier, but I didn't have to. I don't know what happened there, if one of the Painting Guardians knocked it down on accident somehow, but anyway, the description for the Great Magic Weapon, there's really not a whole lot to it, except for it says, at Benheim Dragon School, only magic swordsmen on special orders are allowed to learn this spell, which grants powerful augmentation to various weapons. I think it's interesting that it says only magic swordsmen on special orders. Clearly a sorcerer from Benheim Dragon School was ordered to come to Anor Londo for some reason. But he obviously didn't make it very far. Anyway, moving on here. We're picking up so many items left and right. I keep having to grab up different descriptions here. So we got the Black Iron Armor. And we're actually going to equip this stuff, guys. The Black Iron Armor description reads, Armor of the Black Iron Tarkus, a knight known for his great strength. Built of a special black iron and providing strong defense, notably against fire, but so terrible heavy to be unwieldy to all but Tarkus himself. And actually, I think that by saying that, that's more of a confirmation that the corpse that you got the black iron set off of is indeed Black Iron Tarkus himself. It's not a warning saying you can't wield this unless you are Tarkus. Or you can't wear this unless you are Tarkus, rather, but I think it's more of just an indication, or a confirmation, rather, that the corpse that you got this black iron armor set off of is indeed Black Iron Tarkus himself. And there's been some lore videos, and Bati Video does one where it talks about Black Iron Tarkus's trip through Sin's Fortress and then getting here to Anor Londo on his way to get the Lord Vessel and falling off of the rafters and dying. And that's why we find his corpse there. And I think that's some pretty accurate speculation. With that, you also pick up the Black Iron Greatshield, and there's not much to that description other than it saying that the Black Iron Greatshield is even heavier than Knight Bernice's Tower Shield. And also, you pick up the Greatsword. Its description says, very few have what it takes to wield this incredibly heavy, damage-dealing monster, a favorite of the Knights Bernice, known for their heavy armor, and Black Iron Tarkus. So, you know, not really much to that description either, other than, hey, the Knights Bernice use this sword, hey, Black Iron Tarkus used this sword. Okay, so moving on, we just entered the Painted World here. Of course, you have to have the peculiar doll to enter the Painted World, which is a wintry wonderland. And if you need to know how to get the peculiar doll for some reason, you can go back and watch one of my videos earlier in the series. The video, I've called it Travel by Way of Bird's Nest. In that video, I go and get the peculiar doll, as well as a number of other things, by returning to the Undead Asylum, so you guys can check that out if you need to know where to get that particular item, because it is basically the key to the Painted World, if you will. Actually, I'm gonna consume a little bit more humanity so we can fully kindle this bonfire here. Let's go ahead and reverse hollowing. And get this bitch kindled up. Alright, so a fully kindled bonfire. Now we've got 20 Estus flasks, and we are ready to go. That is actually a humanity. We'll cut that down here in a bit. A lot of people shoot it down with arrows and stuff. You can do that too, but it's just as easy to cut it down. I'll show you guys how to do that here in just a minute. Or it'll be a little bit, but shortly enough. We're going to go all the way through the Painted World in this video, and end this video at the bonfire in the Dark Moon Tomb. Where you can either join the Blades of the Dark Moon Covenant, or go and fight Gwendolyn if you want to. God dang it. Didn't want to do that. Those fireballs are so weak against those guys, though. Already toxic, so it doesn't really matter if we go toxic anymore, so we go ahead and get a couple of these guys wiped out, and then we'll eat some blooming purple moss clump. I've never been able to get at this item, man, and I don't really remember how to get to it. I have gotten to it before, but it wasn't by jumping across there, I know that. So that's probably the only item in the Painted World that I'll neglect to pick up, just because I'm not going to waste time with you guys watching me run around in circles and try to figure out how to get over there. Break this table, get it out of our way. So you got some rats down here. It's a good thing you go on and pop on the Covetous Gold Serpent Ring if you have it. I picked that up in the Sin's Fortress video called Who the Hell is Sin anyway? Because that's an honest question. But if you need to know how to get that ring. Anyway, the Covetous Gold Serpent Ring boosts your item discovery up to 300. Your item discovery is naturally 100. And by putting on the Covetous Gold Serpent Ring, it will boost it up to 300. And those rats, especially, it seems like those white rats have an even better drop rate than the regular rats. But all rats have a really good drop rate for humanity. toxic again. I think I'm gonna have to figure out a different way to kill these guys that's not gonna make me toxic every time. Out of my way, table. I'm gonna go get this other one real quick. There he is. There's not a whole lot I can do from this side. I can chuck fireballs at him, but screw it. Let's try to get this. Ah! Bam! Alright. Try this again. Ah, so frustrating. Eat a blooming purple moss clump and get this toxicity cured real quick. Or actually, fuck, do it. Do a divine blessing. Go ahead and heal the HP as well, because otherwise I'm never going to use that thing. I'm going to forget about it. This is a good opportunity to use it. And that, a notable thing about those divine blessings, even though it says it cures all the status ailments, it actually doesn't cure curse. The only way to cure curse is a purging stone, or to get your curse healed by inward, actually. Had to strip completely naked to make that jump. Got my thong on. And some egg vermifuge, which is interesting that that is here also. The wiki refers to these guys, these enemies that you can kill and make you go toxic. Here, we're going to knock this down. This is a humanity also. But it refers to these specific enemies here as engorged zombies. That's what the wiki calls them. But it would seem that with the egg vermifuge being here, that it has some kind of relation to the egg-bearing chaos servants that are down by the demon runs. Weird stuff. There's a lot of kind of small ties back to Izalith throughout the Painted World, although most of what you'll find here is stuff that's related to Velka. So you guys might notice we just picked up the blood shield there, which is one of my very favorite shields. But it is also a shield that I wear far too often. It's a shield that I use far too often, but it's an awesome shield. It boosts your bleed resistance, your poison resistance, your curse resistance, and it's not just the shield that has those resistances, it actually boosts those stats for you. So it's a pretty useful shield to have. This is a pretty simple melee strategy for defeating the undead dragon here. Of course, this isn't the only undead dragon in the game. There's also one in the Valley of the Drakes, which we killed in an earlier video. This one seems to be a little tougher, or maybe it's just that he has a whole lot more room to spew out his poisonous sludge. But it does seem like he vomits up more of that poison than the one in the Valley of the Drakes does. But again, that just might be because he has a larger area to cover with it. So as you'll see there, pretty easy stuff. Nothing too hard about that. Even easier is if you have some sort of ranged capabilities, a bow, or some magic, you can knock that guy out really easily. As long as you don't screw up and fall over the edge, pretty simple stuff. You want to make this guy stand up? Bam! Jumping attack. And you can shortcut straight to the end of the level if you want to. And you can leave. This is the only area in the game where the area boss is optional. And what I mean by optional is because obviously there's several other optional bosses in the game. Bosses that you don't have to fight unless you want to. What I mean by optional in this sense is this is the only boss that you can enter the boss fog and then choose to not fight the boss and go ahead and leave. During your first encounter with Seath, you can also exit the boss fog, but you have to fight Seath eventually. And you actually can't beat him in the first encounter, so, I mean, that doesn't really apply. And I usually just pop on a Ring of Sacrifice, because it's just a shortcut back. Or a shortcut into the prison in the archives. But enough about Seath. We'll get to that stuff when we get to the archives. Get these guys knocked out. This isn't actually going so well. It's better to get up and kill these guys all in one swipe. But this is... or in a few swipes, rather. But you can kill several of them at once, which I'll show you guys here in a bit, but these guys are worth a good amount of souls. You come in here and kill all these guys on New Game, it's 7,000 souls. So it's a great spot to farm souls if you have the capabilities to kill all these guys and kill them really quickly. Some people will suggest using pyromancy, and you'll sometimes see messages around here to that effect. Fireball is a little weak, that's why I'm sticking with the Zweihände to kill them. And this is kind of a slow method, way I'm going about this here, but you can actually kill all of these guys and kill them very quickly, especially with this weapon. Or the Great Scythe is another great weapon to kill all these guys with in a short period of time. But if you have the capabilities to kill all these guys and kill them really quickly, this is a great way to farm souls. On New Game Plus, it's worth double, 14,000 souls, and you can just run back and forth killing these guys to the bonfire once you have the shortcut opened up, and do some leveling pretty quickly. Picked up a Ring of Sacrifice there. I've read the description in an earlier video. It was a ring made in a sacrificial rite of Velka, so again, it's another Velka item here in the Painted World, which we haven't really picked up too many of those yet, but we will start picking them up one after the other very soon once we gain access to the Annex. So we got the shortcut opened up now. Run over here and plop our butt down by the bonfire. Now let's bump endurance instead of strength for right now. But I think that it's always good to go into the Painted World before actually heading on to Anor Londo and getting the Lord Vessel. And the reason that is... is because you're going to come out a lot stronger than you went in the Painted World. The reason I stood there and did 2 waves like that was originally I had planned to make this 2 separate videos, and that was going to be the beginning of, or the end of one video and the beginning of another. But I decided just to go ahead and make it all one long video, sort of a Gamin Hard Christmas Special, if you will. Oh, man. God. So that is why I stood there and waved twice anyway. That was kind of a dumb death. I thought I could just tank through those hits since I'm rocking the black iron armor, but apparently I was incorrect. So normally I edit out the trip back, but this is a very short distance, so no big deal. But I just wanted to show you guys pretty quickly here how you can get these guys knocked out rather quickly if you don't screw it up, which I'm trying to manage to not do. Alright, here we go. So there you have it. With a big enough weapon, you can kill all those guys really quickly, run back to the bonfire, respawn them all, run back over, kill them all really quickly again, run back to the bonfire, respawn them all, and I think that that is one of the best farming spots for souls in the entire game. Now, down here is where you're going to get the annex key. It's where you are going to open up the way to the boss door down that well there. That well is a very treacherous place filled with bone wheel skeletons. But I've always felt that it's easier if you come in the back way. And we'll get to that in just a second. But really quickly here, I'm gonna grab up this soul item. And also, this is that item from the beginning of the level that I showed you guys. That is that humanity item, so got that cut down now. As I promised, I would show you guys how to get to it and cut it down. Excuse me. This is the Black Iron Greatshield that we picked up earlier with the Black Iron set. As I said earlier, all the description really says is that it is even heavier than Knight Bernice's Tower Shield. Of course, we do not have the strength to wield that shield yet. It is, however, I would suggest using a shield with high stability, preferably a great shield whenever you come down here, as it will make things a lot easier. The Eagle Shield is pretty light. It's only like 6 pounds, and it has a stability of 70, and will give you some pretty great protection against these bone wheel skeletons. It also has really good lightning defense also. if you happen to have a need for good lightning defense. And I just think dealing with the bone wheels, it's a lot more manageable coming in from the backside of this area, as you have a lot more room to deal with them instead of trying to fight them in those tight corridors that you have to fight them in if you go through the front entrance of the well. This is usually a very, very tough area for players, especially people who are new to the game. On their first playthrough, on my first playthrough, this this was a torture chamber. So by turning that lever, we open up the way to the area boss of the Painted World of Ariamis, the crossbreed Priscilla. But first, we still have a lot more stuff to pick up around here. So anyway, gonna whack this and get this invisible wall out of our way and actually make our way into the rest of this area. These are the tight corridors. See, now if you're coming from the other direction, you have to whack that invisible wall, and then you're dealing with like 3 bone wheel skeletons in this tight little space. And it's incredibly dangerous. That bone wheel skeleton actually just rolled through that next invisible wall. There's another bone wheel skeleton down there around that corner. So, yeah, it's a dead end this way. Let's go down and deal with this other bone wheel. Is one around this corner? No. There's one. There's still a couple more down here, I believe. Hey, you can go crazy all day on this eagle shield, buddy. Alright, run up here. Grab this pyromancy. It's an engorged zombie. Not hostile until you attack him, I believe. And he doesn't have as much HP as the normal engorged zombies. And that was the Fire Surge Pyromancy, which we just picked up there. Let's go ahead and take a look at that description. Pyromancy, a foreign of the Great Swamp, creates a surge of flame from palm of hand. Not all pyromancy originates in the Great Swamp. One hears rumors of unknown pyromancers inhabiting various lands. This spell is the work of one such outlander. That outlander possibly being King Jeremiah, but we'll get to that stuff here in just a little bit. Finally there, is the Annex key, which is going to give us access to a lot more cool items. The Annex key description is pretty simple and short. It reads, key to the Annex in the Painted World of Ariamis. In the wintry Painted World, there is a structure resembling an old cathedral. Its annex serves as a type of storehouse. And what they mean by type of storehouse, of course, is a storehouse for the things that gods fear, just as really all of the Painted World is a storehouse for the things that gods fear, and especially it would seem that the Annex in particular is more of a place to store different items that the gods fear that are related to Velka. And you will clearly see that here in just a moment as we get back over here. So let's go ahead and re-equip the Grass Crest Shield, since we no longer need the Eagle Shield. We are done with the Bone Wheel Skeletons. At least until we head down into the Tomb of the Giants. We'll have to deal with them once again along the way. Get all this crap unequipped from a quick use. Take a little run up here. You got an engorged zombie with a torch just coming down the way. And there's another one. Alright. Let's see here. Let's try this. Let's give him a whack. And then back up. Damn it. And get around that. Oh, well, that did kill him. Sweet. That works pretty well. A whack from the Spy Hander, and then a fireball, and they die without getting me toxic. Perfect. Bust this thing about the way. That's probably a little too loud. But, this, of course, is Velka's Rapier. And let's take a look at this bad boy. Velka's Rapier. A symbolic, powerful thrusting sword used by the Pardoner serving Velka, the goddess of sin. It is no mere symbol, to be sure. The Pardoner is an inhuman swordsman and wields this enchanted blade with special sword technique. So pretty cool stuff there. Velka's Rapier deals occult damage and also scales with intelligence, as most items that are related to Velka tend to do. But pretty cool stuff there, just, you know, further example of that is exactly what this storehouse is for. It is meant to store items that are related to Velka. And the fact that Velka's Rapier deals occult damage, and we know that occult weapons are used to hunt the gods, it has been stated many times, or speculated many times, that Velka was involved in a rebellion against the gods. and possibly spearheaded the whole thing. So we also just picked up the Dark Ember there, which again is another weapon that is falling into this, another item that is falling into this theme. The item description reads, Dark Ember. The church long hid the forbidden black ember, and no living blacksmith knows of it. Occult weapons were used to hunt the gods, and are effective against their followers and kin. So, pretty interesting stuff there as well. So another item description to toss over into the red pile. So down here we are actually, this is the Black Cleric set, which is one of my favorite sets of the game. When you're rocking light armor, this is a particularly badass set, and it can be upgraded to +5 with Twinkling Titanite. So, in my mind, it puts it on par or just a little bit better and definitely cooler looking than the gold-hemmed black armor set. And the Mask of Velka specifically is very awesome. This set has very good curse resistance, and decent defenses despite being light armor. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Mask of Velka here. The description reads, Mask worn by the Pardoners serving Velka, the goddess of sin. The Pardoners listen to the confessions of sinners, urging reflection and salvation. Their masks symbolize separation from worldly desires. Also, we'll take a look at the Black Cleric robe here, and its description reads, Robe worn by Pardoners serving Velka, the goddess of sin. The Pardoner's attire is uniformly black in color and is said to be imbued with Velka's mystical power, which provides resistance against all manner of magic. So, about what you would expect from the description of the Pardoner set. There's not a lot to it. Obviously, it relates to Velka. A couple interesting little tidbits of information in there, but other than that, not a whole lot. Now, what we also just picked up there, that was the Vow of Silence miracle. And there is also an interesting description related to that. So let's go ahead and take a read on that bad boy as well. Vow of Silence. Secret rite of the black-haired witch Velka. Prevents casting of magic within effect area. Velka, the goddess of sin, is a rogue deity, but she is versed in arts both new and old, and is considered to have a great range of influence, even as gods are concerned. Now, one thing I want to talk about here is it refers to Velka as a black-haired witch. Now, I have heard speculation before that Beatrice may be a daughter of Velka. I've also heard it speculated that Priscilla may be a daughter of Velka. Priscilla is clearly half dragon, half deity. And there is, of course, the statue here in the Painted World, which is meant to represent Velka, and it's holding a baby. So, lots of interesting stuff there. lots of room for speculation. I think I would personally lean towards Priscilla being the daughter of Velka more than I would lean toward Beatrice. But if it were Priscilla, it really leaves me wondering, who is the father? Who is the dragon father? I'm going to go ahead and pull up the Vow of Silence description here, as you guys can go ahead. I know I just read it, but just so you guys can see it and read it for yourself if you should so desire. And we are pretty much nearing the end of this stuff now. Yeah. Huh. You know, so I'm not going to be able to actually upgrade to the Great Magic Weapon because it requires plus 15. It requires 15 intelligence. And even though I wanted to have these kind of weapon buffs as part of this build, I think that I'm going to go ahead and get rid of them, and for right now, which I should have probably rolled through here with Great Chaos Fireball the whole time, we'll just roll with Great Chaos Fireball and Power Within. Although, I get kinda, Great Chaos Fireball kind of frustrates me, because I think it's kind of a rip-off, that it's 4 uses and takes up 2 slots. To me, I feel that it is. I mean, because, like, Fireball is 8 uses, right? 1 slot. Fire Orb is 6 uses, 1 slot. I think it was enough to cut the uses down to 4 uses. You didn't have to make it take up 2 slots. Also, that just, it seems excessive to me. It seems too big of a penalty for the strength of the spell. It is a very strong spell, but at the same time, you know, come on. 2 slots, really? Anyway, I had to run back there and become human really quickly, so we can get invaded by King Jeremiah. And I had forgotten to do that before leaving the bonfire, so let's run over here and meet our buddy. There's also a lot of soul items over here, as there is a bunch of crows, which you'll notice that there are crows guarding many of the items around here in the Painted World, especially the Dark Ember, most noticeably. And crows, of course, are related to Velka and are meant to symbolize her, but in a way, you would almost kind of think that Velka would want you to have the Dark Ember. If she did indeed lead that rebellion against the gods, you would think that she would want you to have the Dark Ember. And if she did want you to have the Dark Ember, does that mean that she would want you to go the path of the Dark Lord, you think? Another speculation I saw once in one of Dave Control's videos is that the Dark Wraiths had feathers on their armor, or something that looks sort of like crow feathers. So is there possibly a connection between Velka and the Dark Wraiths? Velka and Darkstalker Koth? Does she want to usher in an age of dark? Is that why she led the rebellion against the gods? If she did indeed lead the rebellion against the gods, which, I mean, several signs point to that. The Dark Ember is up there with all of these other items of Velka. Pretty interesting stuff. But let's move on to the guy that we just killed. And I talked about Velka through the whole thing. The Xanthous King Jeremiah. I picked up his notched whip there, and it seemed kind of like he was guarding that pyromancy, which was that acid surge pyromancy. The acid surge pyromancy description is basically identical to that of the fire surge description. What I think is interesting about the Xanthous King Jeremiah is that it's been speculated before that he might be the pupil, that long-lost pupil of Quelana of Izalith. I actually somewhat agree that this is a very good possibility. The reason... And furthermore, it makes me really wonder if the Fire Surge Pyromancy and the Acid Surge Pyromancy are his. Or maybe they're just pyromancies he doesn't use anymore. But as you guys may have noticed, when we were fighting him there a minute ago, he's actually using stuff like Chaos Fire Whip and Chaos Storm. He's using Chaos Pyromancies, which to me would indicate that he has had some sort of involvement with either Quelana of Izalith, or at the very, very least, the daughter of Chaos, Quelag's sister. But he's obviously had some involvement with that family, the Daughters of Chaos. So, that's some pretty interesting stuff there. So we just came upon another item guarded by crows. And if there's any item that is going to indicate a connection between Velka and the Dark Wraiths, it's going to be this, and that is the red Sign Soapstone. Its description reads, "Be summoned to another world as a dark spirit and defeat the summoner to acquire humanity. Certain dark wraiths resist their descent into dark and preserve along the honorable path. The red Soapstone is for them." And I've always kind of thought that preserve along the honorable path, I've always kind of thought that might have been a typo, and it might have meant to be persevere along the honorable path. But regardless, you get its meaning. Obviously, we know that red soapstones and cracked red eye orbs, or red eye orb, those are all items of the Dark Wraiths. Here we come upon a red Sign Soapstone guarded by crows. So is this item merely here because it's part of the things that the gods fear? Well, you know. If so, then why isn't there, like, some cracked red eye orbs around, or the actual, you know, red eye orb? Why isn't that here, you know? That doesn't make sense to me. I don't think it's just that all things that the gods fear are here. I think that mainly, it's things that are related to Velka. And by that thought process that the Painted World is not just a place for things the gods fear. The Painted World is a place for things related to Velka. If you think about it along those lines, then Priscilla is definitely 100% Velka's daughter. Everything here is related to Velka. Velka is related or involved with the Dark Wraiths, and everything within here makes a lot more sense, with the exception of the presence of the Xanthous King Jeremiah and those couple of pyromancies that we find that are obviously related to him. Now, it's weird though, because he doesn't cast those pyromancies. So we'll wait to speak with Priscilla. Let's actually pick up the Xanthous set, and it's not here, so if you kill King Jeremiah and you haven't died or anything like that, and you get here and it's not there, you can just quit out, reload the game. You'll respawn outside of the boss fog, because that's how the game works. Whenever you quit inside a boss's area, you will always respawn outside of the fog door. But now that we've quit and reloaded the game, the Xanthous set should be present and accounted for right over here. Now, if we want to look for clues as to why Xanthous King Jeremiah is here amongst all these items of Velka and things the gods fear, we're not going to get it from the description of the Xanthous set. Let me read the description of the Xanthous crown here. A mysterious item once worn by the Xanthous King Jeremiah. The legendary Exile. No one knows where it came from. The crown bears high-quality cloth, which is quite soft to the touch, but its bright yellow color stings the eyes, and it is clearly far too big. I've also heard of the opinion of people just thinking that the point of
Who art thou? One of us.
The Xanthous King is merely to be a callback to Demon Souls, and we're not supposed to read much into it. So,
if thou seekest I, thine desires shall be requited not.
She thinks I'm into her. I do like that. I do like that. Look at those little feet there. She's got cute feet. Oh man, I don't think I have the binoculars. But it really, what I wanted to show. I don't have them. Let me do one more check here. I don't have, but it looks like her toenails are painted. It really does. It's hard to see, but it looks like her toenails are painted. It totally does.
Thou must returneth whence thou came. This land is peaceful, its inhabitants kind, but thou dost not belong. I beg of thee, plunge down from the plank and hurry home.
It's funny because she actually looks...
Thou must returneth whence this land is peaceful.
Alright, we've already heard it. She actually looks furry.
I beg of thee, plunge down from the plank and hurry home. I expected as much from thee.
She actually looks
toward thine death.
Furry, like the everlasting dragon in Ash Lake. And if you think about it, you find that miracle of Bishop Havel the rock there, the great magic barrier. And that description indicates that he was a sworn enemy of Seath, and its presence indicates that maybe he was there to get counsel from the everlasting dragon as to how to beat Seath, or how to kill him. And of course we know that Velka could potentially be involved with Havel, being that we find an occult club along with Havel's gear. So if we figure that Bishop Havel was part of the rebellion against the gods, and that Velka was spearheading the rebellion against the gods, then maybe, just maybe, Velka told Bishop Havel to go seek counsel with the everlasting dragon, and maybe she knew that he could possibly find useful information there, because that's who she had her baby with. Maybe it was Velka and the last remaining everlasting dragon that spawned the crossbreed Priscilla. So let's take a look at the soul of Priscilla. Soul of Priscilla the crossbreed, trapped inside the Painted World of Ariamis. Special beings have special souls. Use the soul of this crossbreed bastard child and antithesis to all life to acquire a huge amount of souls, or to create a unique weapon. And of course the unique weapon that you can create is the Life Hunt Scythe. And we might just craft that later on just to get a look at the description. But the description of the Life Hunt Scythe says that the gods feared her life hunt ability. And it makes sense, because if you think about it, one of the main abilities of the Dark Wraiths, and the main draw for being a Dark Wraith, is the ability of Life Drain. Life Drain, Life Hunt, more connections to Velka, the Dark Wraiths, Priscilla and the Painted World. It all seems to be very tightly intertwined. I really think now, I think that I've convinced myself that the everlasting dragon down in Ash Lake is Priscilla's father. It makes sense. She's got his fur. Right? Anyhow, actually turn that lever the wrong way there. I really didn't need to turn the lever at all. I'm just gonna run down here and head into Dark Moon Tomb. That was the Ring of the Sun's Firstborn, a must-have for any miracle user. Let's take a look at the description of that. The description reads, Ring of the Sun's Firstborn. Lord Gwyn's firstborn, who inherited the sunlight, once wore this ancient ring. boost the strength of miracles. Lord Gwyn's firstborn was a god of war, but his foolishness led to a loss of the annals and rescinding of his deific status. Today, even his name is not known. His name, of course, may be Solaire. You'll see I just popped on the Dark Moon Seance ring, and that statue disappears, which allows you access to go down and either fight Gwendolyn or join the Blades of the Dark Moon Covenant. We'll get into the Solaire being the firstborn stuff later on, but for now, I think it's fair to say this fucking video has gone on long enough. So anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in to Gamin Hard's Christmas Special. It's definitely been very fun, and I think I'm pretty happy with this video. Lots of good information we covered. I know I'm not the best at the speculation as far as this lore stuff is concerned, but as always, it's so interesting, and I just don't think you can do a Dark Souls playthrough without giving it the attention that it deserves. So as you guys will see there, just leveling the typical stuff: Vite, Strength, Dex, Endurance, all that good stuff. Go ahead and get Havel's ring re-equipped here. And we'll go ahead and end the video here. I'll be back with the remainder of Anne Orlando. As always, if you guys like this, please like, comment, subscribe. Keep on gaming hard.